This isn't gossip whispered in a dark corner. This is a nuclear allegation floating through royal circles, Hollywood back channels, and whispered phone calls that were never meant to see daylight. A claim so explosive it could erase reputations forever. And it didn't come from a tabloid, it came from someone inside Meghan's own orbit. Because today, the silence shatters. Lady Colin Campbell steps forward, and suddenly the story shifts from messy family drama to something far darker. Something that makes people physically recoil when they hear it. This is not about letters. This is not about paparazzi photos. This is about an accusation so serious that once it enters the public consciousness, it can never be fully erased. And here's the terrifying part. Meghan Markle never had to say it herself. Before we even touch the allegation, understand who is speaking. Lady Colin is not a random commentator chasing clicks. She is deeply embedded in aristocratic and royal circles, an author who has spent decades navigating power, privilege, and palace secrets. While researching her book on Meghan and Harry in early 2020, just after Thomas Markle gave a televised interview, something unexpected happened. A phone call, not from a journalist, not from a critic, but from a source close to Meghan and Harry themselves. A source who was reportedly ashamed of what they were about to reveal. That alone tells you everything.
I was writing Meghan and Harry, the real story. It would have been January 2020. Thomas Markle appeared on, I think it was ITV. And right afterwards, I got a phone call from a very good friend of mine who is very closely connected to Meghan and Harry. I can't say more than that because we're speaking about household names.
The source hesitated. They didn't want to be the person who unleashed this, but eventually the words came out, and what they revealed made Lady Colin stop in her tracks. According to this source, Harry had allegedly told them that Meghan claimed her father interfered with her when she was younger. Let that sink in. Not neglect. Not emotional distance, not family conflict, something far worse. Something that, if spoken publicly, would permanently brand Thomas Markle in the eyes of the world, whether proven or not.
I was so embarrassed that they couldn't actually get it out at first. So I said, well, I'm sorry, I can't elicit information from you. You need to cough it up cleanly. And finally, they spluttered out that Harry had said that according to Meghan, her father interfered with her, which I gather is a British way of saying something that in America they say slightly differently.
Here's where this story becomes even more chilling. Lady Colin did not run with it. She didn't publish it. She didn't tease it. She didn't weaponize it for book sales. She stopped because it was secondhand. Because Meghan herself had never said it directly. Because once you print something like that, there is no undo button. So Lady Colin left it out of her book. But the allegation didn't disappear. It lingered, like smoke after a fire you can't quite see.
I had the challenge of including it in the book in such a way that they wouldn't be able to try to muzzle me.
While this rumor simmered quietly in the background, Thomas Markle's life began collapsing in very public ways. Strokes, hospitalizations, and eventually the unthinkable, a leg amputation. And through all of it, silence. No bedside visit, no reconciliation, no quiet meeting away from cameras. Instead, Meghan claimed she was broke, unable to travel, unable to see her father. The same Meghan flying private, launching ventures, and positioning herself as a global humanitarian.
Meghan Markle's estranged father had his leg amputated last week. He is sitting in it. He's in an ICU in the Philippines.
To critics, the pattern looked deliberate. Meghan didn't just distance herself, she erased him. Slowly, methodically, publicly. The paparazzi photo scandal, the private letter leak, each incident used as a justification to cut deeper. By the time the dust settled, Thomas Markle wasn't just estranged, he was radioactive. And this is where the story turns from tragic to strategic. According to Thomas Markle himself, he believes the infamous paparazzi setup, the photos that humiliated him globally, weren't accidental at all. He believes they were arranged, coordinated, used, not for money, but for permission. Permission to ban him from the wedding. Permission to sever ties without backlash. Permission to rewrite history. And history is exactly what got rewritten, because Thomas Markle wasn't always the villain. He funded Meghan's first wedding, a multi-day destination event in Jamaica. Money pulled from savings, investments, and sacrifices, all so his daughter could have the life she wanted. 4 days, beachfront, luxury, paid for by the man now portrayed as disposable. And before Harry ever entered the picture, Meghan praised her father endlessly. For decades, 36 years of gratitude suddenly flipped into a narrative of independence, self-made success, and total emotional abandonment. The math doesn't add up, and people noticed. Then comes the darkest speculation of all. Some believe this alleged accusation is only the beginning, that the next phase could involve reframing her entire upbringing, suggesting her father exposed her to elite circles, wealthy men, and dangerous environments. Rebranding proximity to Hollywood as manipulation, opportunity as exploitation, not said directly, just floated. Through others, through implication, through silence. And silence in this case is louder than any accusation. Thomas Markle, despite everything, hasn't retaliated. He hasn't scorched the earth. He has begged privately and publicly to reconcile, to meet his grandchildren before he dies. Children he has never met. Children who have been kept away not by distance but by decision. And now, as his health deteriorates, people are asking the question no one wants to ask out loud: is this alleged accusation the final card? A way to permanently justify the erasure of a father from a daughter's life without ever having to say the words herself? Lady Colin believes this isn't accidental. She believes it's a calculated strategy, allowing others to say the unthinkable while maintaining plausible denial. Once it spreads, Meghan can step back and say, "I never said that." But by then, the damage would already be done. And the scariest part? Once such an allegation enters the public imagination, it never truly leaves, even if it's never proven, even if it's never spoken directly. And that is where this story is heading next. What makes this situation uniquely disturbing isn't just the allegation itself, it's the method. Because according to Lady Colin, this isn't a reckless outburst or a trauma confession. It's something far colder, far more calculated. This is about letting a rumor breathe without fingerprints. The allegation doesn't arrive as a statement, it arrives as a whisper, a hint, a suggestion passed through intermediaries who carry the burden of saying it out loud while the originator stays untouched by accountability. That is the pattern Lady Colin says she recognizes instantly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because this isn't the first time a narrative has been shaped this way. So over the years, Meghan has positioned herself as the injured party in every chapter of her life. The misunderstood actress, the isolated royal, the ignored wife, the unheard mother. Each storyline layered carefully, each one escalating the stakes. Race, mental health, media cruelty, institutional coldness. Every card played until the deck runs thin. Now, critics believe a new card is being tested, one that blends trauma, victimhood, moral immunity, and permanent justification. And the target? Her own father. Lady Colin makes something chillingly clear: the allegation has never been made directly. Instead, it's been allowed to exist, passed around. Recognized, known. That's not an accident. That's strategy. Because once the rumor spreads far enough, the damage becomes irreversible, even if the accuser never formally accuses, even if she later denies it, even if she claims she was misunderstood. The stain remains, and Thomas Markle knows it. That's why Lady Colin urged him to do something extraordinary to protect himself after death. A legal video deposition, recorded while he's alive, filed officially, denying the allegation on record, not for headlines, not for revenge, but because once he's gone, he won't be able to defend himself. And that, according to Lady Colin, is the danger zone. Because history has shown that narratives are easiest to reshape when the opposing voice can no longer speak. Thomas Markle's health has already robbed him of strength, mobility, and dignity. What this allegation threatens to take next is his legacy. His other children, Meghan's half-siblings, are reportedly horrified. They are stunned not just by the rumor itself, but by the possibility that it explains everything. The sudden cutoff, the refusal to reconcile, the complete erasure of an entire side of the family. They've begged for peace. They've begged for communication. They've begged for humanity. Nothing. Which forces the question no one wants to answer. What justification could possibly be strong enough to erase a dying father unless something far darker was being implied? And yet there is no proof, no police report, no direct accusation, no confirmation from Meghan herself, only silence. And silence, when paired with implication, becomes a weapon. Critics argue this is the most dangerous phase of all, because once people believe an allegation like this might exist, they stop asking for evidence. The emotional reaction overrides reason. The accusation becomes untouchable. Who dares question it? Who dares doubt it? Who risks being labeled cruel for even asking? That's why Lady Colin calls it a trap that destroys reputations without ever entering a courtroom. And here's the cruel irony: Thomas Markle has never stopped defending Meghan. Even now, even after years of humiliation, even after being cut off from his grandchildren, even after watching his daughter rewrite her entire upbringing on a global stage. He still calls her his little girl. He still asks for reconciliation. He still wants one thing before he dies: to meet the children who don't even know his name. And that's what makes this alleged maneuver so devastating. Because if this rumor is allowed to stand, unchallenged, unspoken, yet widely known, then reconciliation becomes impossible forever. Who reunites with someone accused of something like that? Who risks optics? Who risks backlash? Who risks public outrage? The door doesn't just close, it gets wielded shut. Lady Colin warns that this is why such allegations are considered nuclear. Once deployed, even indirectly, they annihilate everything in their path. Families, histories, truth itself. And what frightens critics most is how familiar this playbook feels. Let others say it, let it circulate, let it trend. Then step back and deny authorship. By the time the denial arrives, it's already too late. The rumor has done its job. And if this is indeed the path being taken, then it marks a point of no return, not just for Thomas Markle, but for Meghan herself. Because this is the kind of allegation that doesn't just haunt the accused. It follows the accuser too, forever, no matter how carefully worded, no matter how indirectly framed, no matter how strategically floated. The world remembers. And that's why Lady Colin believes this story is reaching its most dangerous chapter yet, not because of what has been proven, but because of what has been allowed to be believed. And once belief replaces evidence, the damage becomes permanent. The question now isn't whether this allegation will ever be said out loud. The question is, has it already been said, just quietly enough to avoid responsibility? And if so, is this the moment when the spotlight finally turns the wrong way, exposing not a victim, but a strategy? That is where this story leaves us, not with answers, but with a warning. Because some accusations don't need to be spoken to destroy a life. They just need to be implied. They just need to be implied. They just need to be implied.